Hey everyone, it's Theresa here of Larkin Design, and today I am sharing with you a collaboration that I'm doing with two other YouTubers, the Create With Me Challenge, and I am collaborating today with Becky of My Creative Life and Dolly Boyd, and our challenge for today is to create a layout using a long title. Now, I've elected to do an art journal layout, and so this is what I'm going to share with you today. First, let me share with you the products that I'm working with today. I have a photo of myself. It was actually taken about a year and a half ago. And then the things I usually like to begin with, modeling paste, gesso, and matte medium. I am working with a gesso that is a gel gesso, and then I'm also working in an art journaling notebook. It's a lay flat notebook, and it has craft paper. And then I have a couple of paints. These are the Prima Art Alchemy paints, and I'm using the Metallic in, in dark velvet and brass hardware, and then I'm also using the sparks in Mermaid Sparkle. Then I also have this wide washi tape here. I picked this up in Atlanta a couple of weeks ago in a scrapbook store there, and this is from the new scrapbooking company Alexandra Renke from Germany. And notice here how this is a little bit of art journaling serendipity. I had a hard time opening it to begin with, but I went ahead and put those rough edges down on my paper, and those will work out really beautifully to add a little bit of texture to my page. So what I've done here in my art journal is I've skipped a couple of pages so that I have some page thickness here, and I've put some scrap paper underneath my pages so that they don't all stick together. And I spread the washi tape across the center of the page, and then I use the gesso just to create a white border here. Gesso, of course, creates this beautiful sort of opaque layer, and I like to use it with a really rough textured brush so you get nice dimensional brush strokes here on the page. And I've just left the center of the floral pattern here. I've just left that not really painted at all. It will eventually get covered a little bit, but my purpose here with using the gesso and the washi tape is to sort of combine these elements. And gesso works this sort of magical thing. When you cover anything with gesso, it ties the elements together. And so that's what I've done here with the craft paper and the washi and the gesso. And so then I have these alphas from Chicken Nitty. It's a company, they're older alphabets that I've had in my stash for a while. Remember that company? So since the challenge was to do a lengthy title or a long title, I'm going to go ahead and do my journaling as the title itself. And I love long titles for that. So I'm just going to lay out my title here for the layout. And so I'll tell you a little bit about my inspiration for the photo and for the title here. The title is going to read, "You are all that is beautiful in the world." And so I usually like to give you a little nugget to take with you, a little takeaway whenever I do art journaling layouts. And so my takeaway for you today is that I want you to go and do your hair and makeup and set the timer on your camera and take some beautiful photos of yourself. And I'm always surprised. I'm always pleasantly surprised when I do that. And then I go back and I edit, I brighten the photos a little bit, and I really look at who I am in that photo and really take in who you are and embrace that you are all that is beautiful in the world. So that's your takeaway today. I hope you will go and practice that. And that is the inspiration for my title. So another layer that I wanted to do here is a little modeling paste with a stencil. And I just did it in the upper left-hand corner and the lower right-hand corner. And I'm going to just heat that or set that with the heat gun a little bit. And then my favorite part begins. And so I'm just sliding a little chipboard underneath my layout because the paint is going to run here. And one of the things I love about using modeling paste is that it creates these little rivers. When you run paint over your textured image now, the paint is going to run over and through and between all these beautiful little spaces that you just created with your modeling paste. So I'm going to take a little bit of this velvet paint and add a little bit of water to it. I'm not going to add a lot of water, just a tiny bit. And I also have a spray bottle nearby. And I'm just going to start at the edges here. And once I put the paint to the page, then I spray a little bit of the water and I just move the page around and watch the paint as it goes down and across and around this page, and how it fills this page now with this really beautiful color. And I just love this. This is my favorite part of art journaling. Now, what I recommend doing is heat setting each color. And because if you don't heat set in between each color, then they will start to run together. And if you do that with too many colors, it will become muddy. So heat set in between each layer. I did not do that, but I'm only working here with 2 or 3 colors. So it ended up being okay. I also typically remind my viewers to start with lighter colors. And I also did not do that on this layout. And that's okay. It ended up working out okay, but the key was to not overwork these colors and to just sort of put them down on the page and then leave it, and not overwork it and not muddy it too much. So I kind of really, as I was doing this, I really wasn't stressed or obsessed over making it perfect. It was literally just enjoying the process and letting the paint do what it wanted to do on the page. Notice that I went around the edges of the page with the brass hardware paint just to give it a border. Sometimes I do that on my layouts, sometimes I don't. It seemed to fit this layout. It seemed to call for this just because there was so much white space that went off the page. I don't know. And I really liked that. I really liked that paint and thought it was really pretty. So that's kind of what drove my design decision there. Notice what happened here with this paint. I still had, for some reason, I still had some of the purple on my paintbrush. And so when I poured a the mermaid sparkle, and then I had a little of that purple paint still on my brush. It added a little dimension to this green. It was not intentional, but man, it turned out really pretty. And I hope you'll be able to see at the end how this added a little sparkle to this page and really makes these colors pop. I just really completely enjoyed working with these paints and adding these colors to this page. I know I've kind of gone out of the lens here, out of the frame, but hopefully you can still get a good feeling for what I'm doing here. And so I'm just finishing up here with the paint, and of course heat setting a little bit. And at this point I adhered my photo down, and the photos seemed to not blend in with the rest of the page the way I wanted it to. And I also, you know, how I talked about the paint sort of running together and looking like a muddy mess. I think at the upper left-hand corner at this stage, I have a little bit of a muddy mess. So here's what I'm going to do. Gesso covers a multitude of sins. And so I took the gesso and a really dry brush here and just lightly went over parts of the photo just around my person there on the photo, and covered a little bit of what I had just put down on the page and let that blend out into the darker colors on the end. And then I'm going to use this little scripted word stencil here and a little bit more of that purple paint. And I'm going to do a little bit of random scripted words here around the page. I'm going to go off the page again with a couple of these little areas. Again, to kind of establish a relationship with the edge of with the edges of my page. And then once I have that done, I'm going to call this layout complete. And so I hope that you will visit the channels of the other two ladies and follow our challenge with us for the next couple of weeks. Thank you for joining. This layout is now complete. I hope that if you are new here, that you will like and comment and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you back here again soon. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.